Hello, as I walk down a trail towards more sand dunes in the Lincoln National Park. I was going to do a little bit of B-roll for this hike, but the first 2Ks or so of the hike was a bit uphill and a little bit huffy puffy, so I didn't think you'd want to be hearing me huff and puff and blow all the houses down. But just in the horizon there at the end of the road, you can see a dune sticking up. That's where we're heading. This trail is called the Brian Clark Hut Track, I believe, or the Clark Hut Track. It goes towards a little shelter with a water tank and just I don't know, a place to rest. As I said, I'm in the Lincoln National Park, but there are lots of different trails around the area that can take up to four or 5 days if you connect them all together. But this one's just a day walk. I'm heading there for sunset, and we'll see if we can get some good conditions. At the moment, the apps all say that we're going to get good cloud cover and the sunset's going to be 10 out of 10. But as we all know, sometimes the apps can be a little bit optimistic. But we'll go for this walk in this last section of trail. When we get to the hut, we'll have a sit down, have a drink, and get ready to take some photos. Alrighty then, let's head to it. Before I get going to the dunes, I just wanted to talk about phone apps, photography phone apps. In my previous video I'd mentioned about cloud forecast, and just earlier I've mentioned the cloud forecast as well, and you're probably wondering where I'm getting that information from. On my phone I've got 4 different apps. With varying levels of success or accuracy, I use the 4 apps together to try and get an overview on what the weather's going to be like, what the clouds are going to be like, what the light's going to be like. It's not a definite, oh, I'm going to go out because they say so, or if it says that the conditions are going to be bad that I won't go out, but it's something to base some kind of decision off. Now I've got 2 apps here that are made by the same manufacturer. We've got Good Light 1 and Golden Hour 1. They're both made by the same app producer, but they're not a free app. I believe there's 3 apps in a package for around about $12 Australian, something like that. Golden Hour I do use, but Good Light is the one that I use predominantly, but I use them together interchangeably, and it's interesting because the information is not always complementary or the same, because, well, I don't know why, but it seems a bit strange, but generally speaking, they're close but not always 100% accurate, and they're not always backing each other up either. The other app that I use is called Clear Outside, and essentially it's a cloud and weather app. It's not specific to photography. I believe it was made for the purpose of astronomy, using a telescope and trying to forecast clear skies for using a telescope and doing some astro. But it does work for photography as well. It gives you a percentage of cloud cover and high, low, medium, height clouds as well. But I have found that in certain areas where it's not supported, it won't show the low and high clouds, for example. That is a free app, but just keep in mind it's not a photography specific app. As I mentioned before, Good Light and Golden Hour One are paid apps. You can buy them individually for about I think $5 each, or you can buy a three app pack. It includes another app called Daylight, I think it is, but Daylight for me is not as handy, so I don't tend to use that very often. But those apps are photography specific, so they have options. Like Good Light One, for example, has options to select for portrait photography, landscape, astro, sunset and sunrise, and it gives you ratings on what it believes the light and clouds are doing and how good that is for particular types of photography, as I say, for architecture or portraiture or whatever it might be. I'm not affiliated with these apps by any stretch. It's just something that I use quite often, and I spend a bit of time on the apps checking and making sure that they're up to date with the latest information. As an example, today the forecast says that the conditions are going to be 10 out of 10. However, last night it was saying something completely different. 3 days ago it was saying 10 out of 10. Last night I think it was like 4 out of 10 in terms of the rated conditions. So I wasn't going to come out today because it was forecasting heavy cloud. But as of 2 hours ago, we look like we're going to have some okay conditions. But I just wanted to mention those apps in case anybody was interested, after hearing me mention cloud forecasts and so on earlier in a previous video. But yeah, I hope that was helpful. Alright, I'm just going to rest my feet for a little while after our hike up the hill, and then we're going to head out to the dunes and see if we can find some shots. Alright, let's go. Unfortunately, looks like the app forecast was wrong again. All the clouds have disappeared, but we've come all this way, so we might as well do something. Oh well. So I've been walking around for about half an hour, and I've been taking a few different abstract shots of the dunes, which could make some quick black and whites. Not sure yet, but just some sand patterns and a few different shots of different diagonal lines where as you look into the distance there's dunes overlapping each other in the frame, so you get a few different colors and textures and diagonal lines which look alright. But this shot that I've just composed at the moment, there's something about it. I'm not 100% sure, and I wish there were some clouds just to make the light a little bit softer, a little bit warmer and less white. But there's just something about this shot that I really like, and I really hope it turns out well because I actually like it. And there's not many times you can say straight off the bat that when you see a shot that you like it right away. I'll turn you around, but effectively that's the scene right there, and as you can see from your perspective right now, there's an S going through the frame from the foreground mid-ground and up to the top of the dune. But not only that, there's just a split of not only light, cool and warm, smooth sand and rippled sand. You've also got on the left hand side over here just some gravelly rocky sand, so it's very textured. The sky adds a bit of colour to go with the foreground blue, but it would have been good if there was maybe a few tufts of cloud there. I'm not overly bothered by the lack of cloud in the shot, but I would have liked some cloud over that way towards the sun. Just something to diffuse the sun a little bit, because the shadows are quite harsh at the moment. But as you can see by me there, I'm quite defined in my shadow. So, but anyway, we'll keep this shot composed for a little while, see what the light does, and I'll keep taking some photos. Hopefully the light improves, hopefully some clouds turn up. My main concern is the sun setting behind you now, but there's not a lot of wind at the moment, and if clouds do come, I fear the sun might go down behind that dune right there. So the actual composition now is ideal, because as you can see, the shadow goes right around this rocky, where the rocky area is. As the sun goes down, that shadow is going to creep more in over here, and it's not going to hug and complement that rounded section, which is what I want. So I might have to make do with just the light that's here now. Still got about an hour and 50 odd minutes until sunset, which is a shame, because I think this composition is probably going to disappear from a light perspective by the time sunset comes around. But it's okay, we'll just have a look around and see if we can find something else. But I might hang out and shoot this for a little while and see what happens. All right. Just wanted to talk a little bit about what I'd mentioned just before about the light as the sun goes down behind these dunes and starts casting a shadow, and the compositions end up disappearing because the light's not there to create those shapes that were there before. If I turn you around to the sand dune before that, I had a composition over there, shooting from over there. You can see the shadow along the ridge line that goes up to the top has already widened. It's in deeper shadow than it was before. Just as an example, I thought I might just do some time lapse. At the moment I'm just making a time lapse video of this tree. It's just a dead tree, but that little curve of shadow that you can see there was probably about 20 meters to the left when I first started, ish. So hopefully this time lapse will, when I put it together, will give you an idea on how the light is changing the scene. you can see right there, the sun hasn't gone completely down below the horizon, but as you can see, the cloud is quite heavy over on the horizon, so the sunlight's not really coming through. I don't know if you can see me right now, but look, I got a couple of shots as the sun poked through a hole in the clouds. I didn't film it because it was going quite fast. There wasn't much time. I wanted to get a pano, a standard vertical center, a dune in the center of the frame in a vertical and a horizontal. So to get those 3 shots, it took pretty much all the time that the sun spent through the hole in the clouds. I don't think the sky's not going to light up or anything, but I think I might call it a day today, because it's a bit of a long walk back, about 4.5 kilometers back to the car in the dark. I don't think I'll hang around to see what might happen. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Thanks a lot.